Jimmy, fire it up, buddy.
Hey, Jimmy.
Fire it up.
Cue the music.
Let's go.
All right, Jimmy, you're fired.
Dude.
Again. Yes, again.
If things start shaking, it's because a tornado is coming
But
through.
we don't stop recording because a tornado's hitting.
No, we just keep plugging along. That's what we do best.
We don't. No quit in this team right here. No quit.
We dogs.
I have a headache and I'm still pumped up. That's how you know. That's how you know you've had too many headaches in your life.
Dude, every time I sit down, I feel a sharp feeling in my pocket or back leg right here, and it's because I got these screws, and it's because of all these damn house projects. Yeah. Look, it's these things. Dude. I got these all laying around the house.
Yep.
It's a sign that there's always work to be done.
These are nice wood screws.
They are very nice. Fun fact, if you are trying to build stuff, I recommend, and I learned this from the person that built my fence, use screws, because when you need to replace boards, because you'll have to replace the boards, or someone will have to replace the boards, it's a lot easier to do
back
that
them out.
when you go bzz, bzz, versus, bang, 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 and you split things. It's a headache.
I'm not much of a nail person, though, so.
Yeah, neither am I.
I'm much of a Murphy person.
Yeah, dog, you're a Murph. Cole finished his first Murph challenge, folks. And for those that have no idea what the hell that is, it is a very, very intense workout that is not easy for many folks to accomplish. And that requires running a 1 mile jog, run, go at your own pace, 300 body squats, 200 push-ups, and 100 pull-ups, followed by another 1 mile run to top it off, all while wearing a 20-pound vest, if you so choose.
It was brutal. I didn't wear the 20-pound vest for the whole thing because I was like, I just want to get through this. And going into it, Hayden, I was like, I texted him like, this is going to be brutal. This is going to be tough. I was like, I'm going to finish it. But I'm not doing it for time. I'm not doing it for competition. I'm going to make myself finish it. And it's funny how you get into that. I got to this one point in the workout where I was trying to keep track of my push-ups, pull-ups, and squats, right? And I'm like, damn, I got 150 squats done. And I've done 110 push-ups and 35 pull-ups. And I'm like, shoot, I'm literally just halfway there, and I've still got a mile. And that's when you just for me, it was funny because we were talking about this on Friday, but everybody gets motivated by different things. But for me, my brain does not do what I can't fight this internal battle of it's not tough. Some people go, I just tell myself it's not tough. For me, I just have to accept that something sucks or something's hard, and then be okay with that. So I'm in my head, I'm going this is brutal, and Hayden's like, you got this, and I'm like, I know I got this. I'm just saying it's brutal. I'm being honest with myself. Those last 5 pull-ups you got me on Instagram, literally, I was about to throw up. Okay, I was nauseous. I'm but I'm not gonna not finish. So it was awesome. It felt great.
As Nick Bear would say, who is the founder of BPN, I'm a big follower of him. Remarkable guy. Embrace the suck. And that's what you did.
Embrace. Be okay with something being shitty because the outcome's going to be great. Mm-hmm. After we finished that, I'm surprised I can still do that.
You were like, hell yeah, that wasn't that bad. I'm sign me up again.
Oh, we're doing every Friday.
And that's why Cole texted me later this week and saying, dude, I'm going back at it next Friday. I'm trying to break my record, and you'll get there. What's your PR that you're trying to go for?
I think I said 55,
right? 55. So under 55, which is really good.
With a vest on the entire time.
You got that.
So I did the vest for the first mile, took it off. But by the end of the summer, I want to be do sub 55 with the vest on the entire time, which I think I can crush that.
I'm gonna need some water. I'm dying.
Are you okay? Dude, go get some water.
I might die.
It's okay.
It's all that wood cutting.
My wife's texting.
This is the first time I'm stepping off the air.
Dude, I'll hold it down for you. So, guys, let me tell you about my horoscope for the day. No, I don't have one, but I'm feeling absolutely fantastic. Sitting here lonely by myself. But today, I'm gonna open up while Hayden's not here. Welcome to another episode of Unscripted Exchanges. We are super stoked to be here. My partner is MIA currently, but we will be diving into this is a pretty exciting topic for me, and honestly, not super exciting initially, but I got into it. Is we're going to talk about Apple and some of the stuff Apple, the company's been doing lately. And Hayden talked me into looking up WWDC, which I still forget what that stands for. Hayden, thanks for joining us.
I'm alive.
But I was talking about the Apple, and we're going to dive into just kind of dissecting Apple and some of the stuff they're doing.
Ah, yeah.
And I can't remember what WWDC stands for, but the first thing I want to ask is, do you remember what that stands for?
I think it stands for, I think I'm wrong, but I'm going to say it anyways. Worldwide Developer Conference.
Yeah, I think you're spot on.
It's Apple specific, so I don't know why it'd be world. I don't know.
Well, I think the gist of it was, and this is what gets me really excited to talk about it, is the gist of it is, Apple's taking the time to educate on new products, new integrations, new updates for their software and different things like their Mac OS, their iOS for iPhones, their what's it called? iPad iOS is what they're called. Mm-hmm. But they've also got a lot of like tools and development things that they've been working on to make it easier for other companies to be a part of the Apple community, which was really cool because they're kind of talking about different features they've done for Maps, or different features they're doing for Apple Pay, or different features they're doing for messaging or lock screen. And the way they lay it out and the way they talk about it, it's what's really neat about that whole thing is that Apple as a company has figured out that the best way to grow and to keep engagement is by making it super easy for everybody that wants to use their platform to be able to like talk to each other and add to it, right? We're going to do this specifically so you as a developer or you as another company can integrate with it and make it easier for your life. One example was Maps, like Bird, the scooter company. They're using Maps to basically give Bird the ability to integrate with that so you can get more specific locations for their scooters, more specific like ride times, all types of stuff. And it's just very, very, very unique. So it was a really cool thing.
Yeah, I think Apple is one of the most fascinating, if not the most fascinating company in the world for a lot of different reasons. You did a little bit more homework than I did watching a lot of the conference. By the way, I believe it's available for anyone to go out and watch. You don't have to pay for a subscription.
No, just go to you can watch the keynote and then you can watch the full. It's like an hour and 48 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's is it a little? It sounds really bland and boring when you say, hey, go watch Apple talk about all its software, but it's actually really, really interesting. And especially because you're like, okay, I could use this stuff. Like a lot of the integrations and different things they're doing, they're talking about how as a developer you can add to that and you can build off of it, but also as a user, what we're going to get. Like iOS 16 is the latest update coming. All the different stuff that's going to bring to us.
Yeah, it's super fascinating hearing all of the stuff that's in the pipelines there. And this touches well on what we were talking about on the previous episode with just product management and delivering value and trying to iterate on your products or your services. And Apple has that down to a science where they know that this product that they're rolling out is going to be maybe not perfect right away, but they're going to continue to have it mature and get better over time. A lot of people like the Apple ecosystem. Cole is actually stepping out now. This is the first time where we've had to go solo. I hope everything's all right. I think everything's just fine. But anyways, what I'm getting at with this is Apple, again, is extremely good at recognizing the value that they want to put forth for their customers. And essentially, they are also really good at researching and listening to what their customers want. I actually started a very small podcast back in 2020 into 2021. It was just me doing it. And basically the main theme of that show was dissecting companies and their ideas. And one of the ideas that I had mentioned, which this isn't anything really new, because some companies have done this with their social networking, but the ability to edit text messaging, I was like, come on now. Everyone wants this feature. people want the ability to go back and edit a text, whether it's an embarrassing text that you sent late at night after a long night out or whatever it might be. Let's allow people to go edit their text messaging. So instead of me rambling on about all this stuff that Apple presented in iOS 16, I did want to share like the biggest thing that I'm surprised that is coming finally and just super excited about, and that's the ability to edit text messaging. Did you see that feature?
Yes,
That's going to be so badass. And I was just mentioning that I predicted this. I shouldn't say predicted, but I was talking about...
Would you say Nostradamus?
Nah. good one. But on my previous podcast where it was just me, I think I shared a little bit about that with you, but I basically talked primarily about like companies and recommendations for what they should do with building additional products or enhancements, which taps into my product management background. And I called out the ability to edit text messages. And this was well over like a year ago. And again, I'm not the first to say it, so I'm like, so happy that this is finally coming.
The only thing I'm interested to see is like, okay, like, so basically what you can go back and even if it's been delivered, because like you watch and like, especially if you don't make Apple to Apple, right? You can, like, it's the iMessage.
Yeah,
you can like it delivered. You can still go back and like, okay, I didn't really want to say that and have it. Like, I don't think they've read it yet. Yeah, and you can change it. It's super kill.
Now, have you used Microsoft Teams?
Yes.
You can edit on Microsoft Teams.
Oh, I didn't know that.
You didn't know that?
And
it tells you that the post has been...
I don't use it regularly.
I mean, that's basically 90% of my communication. I wouldn't say that high, but it's definitely more than 50%.
I don't do it. Another thing they're adding the messages, though, which you'll love, too, which I am more excited about this than that part of it, editing, is marking unread. You know, you can go to emails and you get an email and you're like, okay, I want to address this, but I don't have time right now. Like, typically you archive it or something or flag it. I always mark it as unread, move it to a folder and leave it in the folder. Then I can come back to it and okay, if I'm really obsessive with emails. Like, I get to them right away when I see them. So if I can't get to it or I'll mark it as unread. Well, on your messages now, you can go back and mark a message as unread or a group as unread. So it's just like your emails almost. That way you're not forgetting about responding to somebody or something like that, which I really like that.
Heck yeah.
Wow, man, it's really coming down.
We are sitting in the middle of a tornado right now, folks. So if we end up getting picked up and carried away, it was nice knowing you guys.
Yeah, Amanda just texted me. Sorry, I'm going off key. She's like, they were like leaving to go to Stables. So I was going to be in here afterwards. I'm like, don't go. We're rescheduling. And they're sitting in a Target parking lot. Yeah, because it's so bad.
Yeah. Is everything all right?
Yeah, they're fine.
Okay, good.
But it's brutal outside.
I thought you were speaking with one of our sponsors, securing another deal.
Dude, they're flowing in so fast we can't keep track.
Dude, when it rains, it pours, right? And that's literally what's happening, man.
No, I would say like the whole idea of the conference and stuff. I mean, it's super interesting. It sparks a lot of interest for me, and this is kind of what I want to dive in with you, Hayden, on. That was cool, but what was cooler to me is just thinking about Apple in general. Like, how has Apple become, and I know this is such a hot topic, everybody wants to debate it, right? Apple, and they're the most valuable company in the world. Like, they've been valued at like $3 trillion or something now. Something crazy. And the question, like, why do they continue to be so valuable? And I think there's a lot of different facets of that. But I'm going to go one route I think is a big part of it is the fact that Apple built such a simple user interface, right? Something that you could touch, you could feel, you could easily navigate, right? The App Store. I mean, they invented the App Store. Like, that wasn't a thing. Now everybody wants an App Store, right? You go to anybody that's building a product or anything, they want to make sure that you're available on the App Store. So they started all that. And part of that was to give users the ability to interact with brands or products they wanted to do. And what I think's been really cool, and even just watching this conference and how much effort they put into that, is that they're not just about, providing a service for a monetary fee, but they're all about like bringing people together. I truly believe this about Apple, is they want to have a community of people invested in their products and services and their platforms, so that it genuinely makes people's lives easier. The more input they can get from all different spectrums on what they're doing and what they're putting out there, the better they can service their customers. And that is literally the key fundamental to building a successful business and anything successful is like getting input and trying to use it. And what they're trying to do is give enough people different avenues so you give input and build upon it. They're not only like, hey, we're Apple, we do it all. They're like, hey, we're Apple, but here's where you developers can come build on our platform so that other people can use it and other people can do stuff with it. And I think that community, like the Apple community, is just, they mentioned like they have 34 million developers, like Apple developers in their community right now that can talk to each other, that can interact and build. And I think that's what that really stuck out to me is why is Apple Apple, and why they continue to have success. They do make great products, they do have awesome tech, but they do a great job of legitimately taking pieces from all over the place and bringing them together and making it easier to be a community.
Yeah, I would agree with all of that in my take on why Apple is one of the best, if not the best, is because of their ecosystem, which goes back to the technology, and it taps into community too. In terms of all their products and their services, it's a seamless experience. Their ecosystem of products where you've got their Apple Watch, I'm wearing one right here, you got the Apple phone, like it all integrates and it's so easy. It's simple. And that's why customers want their products because it's easy to use. If you're out on a run and you don't happen to have your iPhone, but you have your watch, you can still be connected to people if you choose to do so. If you want to be multitasking and doing design work on a desktop computer, or I should say an iMac, you're able to get your text messages right there up on your computer. Again, it's that seamless ecosystem. They're really good at that. The other thing that they're really good about that I don't know if a lot of us recognize is just the power of storytelling. They are some of the best in the world to do it. Now, every once in a while, their stories kind of flop, in my opinion, or at least their commercials do. But they are so good at hitting home on the emotional aspects of things. And that's why people buy certain products at the end of the day. Let's be honest. We're all emotional creatures. We want the brand recognition. A lot of people do, I should say. We want to be associated with a certain product because it provides a certain feeling, whether that's a feeling of being, I'm going to come out and say it, wealthy, or it's a feeling of being super private with your technology because Apple is probably one of the best, again, if not the best, in terms of how they keep their stuff on lockdown, and you want your data protected. Again, highlighting different aspects for why you resonate with a certain product. And it all goes back to the power of storytelling. And that's why in these developer conferences, it's so fascinating to watch how they present their updates. And that's the other thing I wanted to dive into, especially if you are someone that's trying to be an aspiring public speaker or just in your day-to-day job, like you have to do public speaking. Like I've been in so many, and let me raise my hand and use myself as an example, where you build like a PowerPoint presentation, and you kind of just run through the deck and you read off of it. Anyone can read the PowerPoint slides, but what Apple is really good at doing is focusing on the main presenter, and that's where people like fully resonate and buy into their story. They'll have a slide or a visual here and there, but it's not just here's 50 slides, let's go run.
They're so good with that.
Exactly.
So good with that. I would add to the my take on you're talking about the when people buy stuff like brand recognition or having gaining a certain status. And here's where I think they've also been like super brilliant with the storytelling, is that you do get that with Apple, but you also like you don't feel I don't know the word to describe it, like it's such an integral part of like your everyday life that it's not just because of the brand, it's also like that been useful. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's the coupling of both. I think both worlds is that you get, like, I got Apple products which are high end, which are sleek, which are easy to use, which have that flair, right? You ever go to an Apple store and you're like, man, this is bougie, this is nice, right? It's clean, it's well put together, and Apple does a great job of like instilling that. Hey, we've got a really beautiful high end product that's also useful for everybody, like. Lower class, middle class, high class, wherever you're at, they appeal to that because of what they can do with the technology they've got. That's why I love it.
On the flip side, just because we've been hyping Apple up so much.
Yeah,
I mean, we both like Apple.
That's
I
because
like
they want to
technology.
sponsor us. That's why.
Well, yeah, Apple, give us a call. We got some great ideas for you. What opportunities, and maybe I can lead, I'll put myself on the spot, but do you see any opportunities? I'm being careful with how I choose my words here for Apple in terms of things that they could work on.
That's such a loaded question, so you go ahead and answer that.
Yeah, I was hoping you would take a stab at it because that's what you're good at doing, and it gives me time to think. So no, let me dive in and try to wrestle that question. Like you said, it's a loaded question. I had some specific ideas, again, many, many months ago when I was just doing the podcast solo, or my podcast.
The one you sold, what, for like 2-3 million?
2 or 3 million Bitcoin.
That'd be a great deal.
Yeah, you do the math on that. But anyhow, I think Apple has room to grow with their phones, like the hardware. I think that the form factor of their phones really hasn't changed, and I'm putting this up on screen. Everyone's seen a freaking iPhone.
It's looked the same.
Yeah, it's looked the same ever since Steve Jobs, first unveiled this back in, I think it was like 2005, give or take a year
Around
or two.
There. Yeah.
But I think the hardware can do an upgrade.
You're
a
just
refresh.
thinking like different styles or something. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Like, there are other phones such as Samsung. I used to have a Samsung. I've gone back and forth between Android and Apple. Again, I'm a tech nerd. I'm a geek. I enjoy it all, and that's why I'd like to try to learn both operating systems because there are pros and cons. It's so easy to say, "Oh yeah, Apple's the best." It's like, cool. Have you ever had an Android?
Well, I can't make an argument because I haven't.
Right, and then there's people that say, "Oh, Android's the best because of X, Y, Z," and then it's like, "Have you ever had an Apple phone?" Like, that's why I try to, recognize.
You try to test them both a little bit.
Yeah, but what I'm getting at is Samsung has the foldable phones. I think that is awesome because then you have basically a tablet.
Right, you're talking about the ones that like they fold open and they've got like the mirror screen basically.
Well, I don't want a mirror screen.
No, but they have like the big screen. I know
correct,
you're talking.
Correct. And I like the ones that not only open up like I guess that's like a burrito, but I like the ones that open up like an old flip phone too.
Yeah, I miss those.
And I think there's something to be said about that. I think Apple's probably working on those. It's just going to be a few years out because when Apple does something, they want to be the best. They don't care if they're necessarily first to market. They just want to be the best with not only the hardware but the software. Primarily the software, but they do have good hardware too. So I think the form factor on these phones could change. I think they could also dabble into some additional products, and that's where, and maybe they mentioned this because you again did a little bit more homework. Did they mention anything about the Apple cars or anything like that?
I didn't finish it.
You didn't finish it? Okay.
No, I don't think they were. I don't. From what I could tell, though, that wasn't something that it seemed like they were going to bring up. They were talking about more about software developers.
Sure.
And iOS 16 was like one of the big points there.
Right. Okay. Yeah, but I think there's room for them to get involved in car technology, software, which, again, I'm not saying anything new, but I think they're not only doing technology or software for cars, but I think they're actually building a car as well.
Well, that would make sense for somebody like them.
Yeah, you're right, but at the same time, maybe they should just double down on what they excel at, and that is software.
Right. Well, and here's another thing, too, just to think about, and this is totally kind of my thought went here. You know Apple TV?
Mm-hmm.
Is there an Apple TV? Like an actual TV that's an Apple TV?
No, but why? Why would you want a physical Apple TV?
Why not? You got everything else. Instead of having to buy the little Apple TV
I
box.
could care less about the TV. To me, it's the software. That's my take.
Yeah, but it'd be integrated. Maybe it'd have different integrations. Like maybe you could have your Apple TV, but it's like your Apple Home all included in one. I don't know.
All right.
I'm just throwing ideas out there.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know if anything else they could improve upon.
Here's another thing that goes
Hey,
back.
Apple, you guys need a TV that's not just a box.
Here's the other idea, which goes back to form factor. It'd be cool if you could literally have a single device. Again, this is personal preference, but a single device that is able to, it's like building Legos. This is just how my brain works. And it goes back to the early days of me growing up and just tinkering around with literally Legos.
You're a tinkerer, yeah.
Yeah, I'm a tinkerer of sorts.
Yeah, you are, 100%. Keep going.
And basically, it starts with something as small as the Apple Watch, and it can like build and turn into then your phone, then a tablet.
Nanotechnology, kind of.
No. This is like me combining ideas or things that I've seen out there. I don't think it was Google, but basically it was a phone where it was like building Legos.
Okay.
And you could grab pieces and turn it into like the phone that you want. But what I'm saying is taking that a step further, and you have, your Apple Watch when you just want it to be your Apple Watch. And then it's an add-on that then turns into your phone, and then you flip it open, and then it becomes the iPad. Like it's a lot to process. I'm doing a terrible job of explaining it, but like in my mind, if there was like one like physical piece of hardware that you could then add to, yeah, like a transformer,
right? You
or
could
something.
buy a kit that's like has 5 different functions, right? It can become an iPad, it can become a TV, you can take a piece off of it and use it and put it in a little holder on your wrist, or you could take 5 pieces of it and that's your cell phone, right?
Yeah.
I think that's kind of neat.
Yeah. And I've also seen prototypes of your phone or even your iPad becoming like the screen on your laptop, this becoming then like the touch screen or the keypad. I mean, I don't know. Whether or not that's actually worth doing, like what does that actually serve?
It sounds awesome, though.
Yeah, it does. It's kind of cool. The other thing that Apple is, I think, re-evaluating is... Well, I guess it wasn't really Apple, but it was Google that shut down the eyeglass. Well, Apple is called eyeglasses, I think, or it sounds right. Google had like the Google glasses 10 years ago, and they were way too advanced or ahead of their time. Like people just weren't interested in that at the time. But there's going to be a point in time where we're wearing like glasses and you're able to basically get content or whatever the hell you're looking for in real time. Like we're going to be part cyborg, which is kind of scary. And some people would already argue we're kind of already there because we're freaking attached to these things. It's like we got a chain and these things are always on us. But yeah, the eyeglasses would be pretty fascinating. And I've also seen prototypes. This is just me nerding out right now, where you'll literally put a contact lens in and you'll never know. And it's like augmented reality, where you're going to be able to say or
you could have it on and be watching a movie, right? Basically,
if you wanted to do that, yeah, or something that's more practical. You could wake up in the morning and it's going to read. Well, yeah, you're right. To each their own. Jesus. It's going to read the temperature and the weather outside, so like you don't even have to like worry about.
Or what if it could like diagnose like your car troubles or something? Like you could put it in and say, hey, I've got a 2014 Chevrolet Malibu.
Yeah.
Diagnose my car. And all of a sudden, it's going to go, okay, here's the analytics. Like, you scan the car, so you just look through the car, and it tells you exactly what's wrong with it.
Yeah, that could happen. I think that's a little bit further out. But yeah, no, that's another specific example or use case. Where I do get a little bit concerned, though, is at the point where technology we become too reliant on it, so we don't use certain parts of our brain. Like, let's use the weather example, which I wish I had a better one. Where
it's overused.
Oh no! It's not overused.
I'm just teasing.
You got me all flustered over here. I'm like, what are you talking about? But basically, again, you were using this hypothetical here, whether it's glasses or like a contact lens, and you're able to see like the weather out there, but like you forget how to like go out and read like a thermometer or like look up weather on your phone because the technology's just already given to you. Does that make sense?
Dude, there's so many things in life that are already like that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there's so many things in life that we have even now, and I can't think of like some good examples, but even with my siblings, we'll be talking about something, and I'm only like, 7 and 8 years older than my younger siblings, and there's stuff that like they'll ask me about, and I'll be like, yeah, this is all you need, and they're like, what? They don't even know, like, this is mostly happened with like tools or stuff like that. They're just like, they've never used it, they don't even know what it is, and I'm just like, oh, I use my phone for that or stuff like that, and I'm like, dude, man, where are we going? And but for me, then I take that seat of like, it's just a different day and age. But at what point, to your point, when does it all of a sudden become a detriment? Because there's things that like are useful now or like we can rely on that we don't need to know stuff.
Yep.
But then at what point does it start like shifting the way our brains work because there's stuff that we should be using, this part of our brain to do, but now we're not. And now we're not stretching that muscle as much. And now we're not, you know what I mean? And now we're robots. And now Elon Musk has taken over the world. We've all got chips in the back of our head.
Yeah, I'm not letting that happen.
We're 10 steps away from that, okay?
Yeah, maybe even closer than 10 steps away.
We're going to start sounding like Andy on here.
An example that I just thought of while you were mentioning that is, texting. Or I think, and I've caught myself where I'm so lazy at times. I'm not lazy.
We can both agree on that.
I'm like trying to correct myself. I ain't perfect. I'm not superhuman. I'm trying to be.
Get you today.
Basically, I don't want to finish my train of thought, so I let Google or Apple do it for me. There's going to be a point where too many people are doing that, where like they don't even know how to articulate or form their sentences, and that might be a little too extreme. But even better is, okay, I don't know how to spell this word, so instead of me even trying to use that brain power to spell a word, I'm just going to be so reliant on technology to spell words for me. So at what point do you begin to forget how to like write?
That's deep.
I know it's crazy,
That's
but
deep.
Like there is a point in time where you can become too reliant, and it goes back to you described it well, where you're not flexing or strengthening that muscle, and that muscle will deteriorate over time. And that's like a scary example of me recognizing, okay, like I need to be careful. Like especially if you're always like using technology to like type and text, like that's why I still try to do handwritten stuff. Like let's use cursive, for example.
I was thinking the same.
Siblings don't even know what that really is.
I was literally thinking cursive. Yeah. I'm thinking, dude, when's the last time like you wrote in cursive? But like that used to be a really important like thing to know. Like knowing cursive, you write your letters in cursive, right? Yeah. Like when you write a note to somebody or send a letter in the mail, you do it in cursive because that's like. And now it's like, let me just see how fast I can scribble this. Yeah. And like, I mean, and is our handwriting getting worse because of it? I bet.
Yeah, I mean. Let me ask you this. Do you prefer a handwritten letter or a email or a text?
Preference-wise?
And maybe you don't care. Let me give a better example.
I didn't grow up in the day and age where emails and texts were like, when I was younger, I was always made to like write thank you notes.
Yeah.
And like and do thank you cards and stuff. For like birthday parties and stuff like that.
Yep.
So for me, whenever I want to get really personal, I want to do like a handwritten note, like especially like because it means for me it's not so much. It's a really one key element of that is that nobody wants to write handwritten notes anymore. So the fact that like when you do that or when I receive one, I know somebody like intentionally like went and got a card or something and like opened it up and like wrote down in it, and that's huge. Like that's way harder than just texting somebody or going, Siri, text my wife and tell her I'll be home from dinner. Like, because they can really do that. Siri will do it all.
Well said, my friend. Yeah, I prefer that route as well. It's so much more meaningful when I receive a handwritten thank you or card, whatever the hell it might be, versus something that comes to me in a digital form. Because again, who's to say that you didn't just like copy something off the internet? It doesn't mean you can't copy something off the internet and then like write it down on a card. But as you were mentioning, you're taking that additional energy or action to go out and buy a card and then actually then use your brain power to then write in the card. Again, I'm getting very prescriptive here, but to me that's a lot more meaningful. I take that to heart more versus just something that came through via text. Not to say that some things that I read online don't hit me emotionally, but I would prefer a handwritten message. So
heard that.
So next time I do something big, I better be receiving a little card in the mail.
Mental note. I'll just come spray paint on your door.
Don't do that.
I'll key it into your car. It'll be really special.
I want to be the first time my car's been keyed.
I think we've dissected our thoughts on it. I mean, Apple, you can get on so many rabbit holes, but I think
Apple, reach out to us. We got billion, $trillion ideas for you.
Literally game changing. You think you're big now? No, I think this was a fun episode, Hayden.
Hell yeah, man.
Well,
crushing it as always.
I opened up. You can sign us off.
Did you? I meant to ask earlier on when
Of course I did, dude. I held it down.
Yeah. Guys, we appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for listening to another episode of Unscripted Exchanges. We are releasing on Tuesdays and Fridays. We continue to talk about new and exciting topics. Please let us know if there's anything in particular that you would like us to dive into, or anything that we've talked about in the past that you'd like us to dive a little bit deeper into. Again, we have some exciting guests coming on. Cole has an announcement.
I was going to say we will be announcing the winner of these speakers within the next week, so stay tuned.
I think we were supposed to announce it actually today.
I said that within the next week.
But
I could have
Cole
been today.
is extending the giveaway.
I'm going to give you guys one more week.
We want one more week. We've had a lot of great participation. We really appreciate everyone tuning on in and signing up on Instagram, but we're giving it another week.
Help us hit 5,000 followers on Instagram this week. Go get after it.
If we hit 5,000 Instagram followers, I will give one lucky follower a 55-inch TV.
Ooh! Oh, that's big.
Of their choice.
That's big.
$600 maximum, though. I'm capping it because I don't want someone picking out the most ridiculous TV that's $50,000 or something like that.
Speak it, baby. Speak it. All right. Thank you, guys.
Peace.